Okay, let's start the second tour of you are very beautiful of the city, but this time with a guide too. Look at it. This is our guide for today. See you later.
One of the mountains in front of you, more on the right side. This is a very important mountain for us, for the locals. It's a recreation area. There's good for hiking, skiing in winter time. And this mountain chain is divided. One part is in Austria, the other part is in Germany. And here you can see the Austrian summit. There's a German summit as well, but that cannot be seen from here. A cable car goes up there, and just behind it is the region of Berchtesgaden in Germany. The Königssee, the King's Lake, the village of Berchtesgaden. This is just behind that. Okay, now, if you want, I can help you. Just tell me if you want me to help you with the photos. I will speak about them in a moment. So here we are in the Mirabelle Gardens. The word Mirabelle comes from the Italian word mirabile, admirable or marvelous. At the beginning I would like to speak a little bit about the history of Salzburg, because this history is really unique. From the 14th century to the beginning of the 19th century, Salzburg was an independent principality. And that principality was ruled by Catholic archbishops. So that means that through the centuries, the archbishops here on one side had a high position in the Catholic Church, and on the other side there were the princes also, the rulers. And they ruled in a very autocratic way. The common people didn't have many rights. Through the centuries, that only changed in 1816. So roughly spoken 200 years ago, Salzburg became a part of Austria. At that time it was the Habsburg Empire. But before that it was a kind of church state ruled by the archbishops. The archbishops not only were the princes, they also had palaces built, churches, residences in the city, but also in the whole country. And in the city we have about 40 Catholic churches and chapels. This is because of this Catholic tradition, and because of that Salzburg sometimes is called the second Rome, or the city of Rome north of the Alps, because of the high number of Catholic churches that we have. Palaces were built by the archbishops. This is one of them, it's called Mirabell. There used to be a prince archbishop at the beginning of the 17th century whose name was Wolf Dietrich, who had the first palace built for his female companion. Also he was a Catholic priest, an archbishop even. Nevertheless he had a relation with a lady, and she gave birth to 15 children of the archbishop, and for her and the family the first palace was built on this side. And later it was transferred into the Baroque style, this palace. So this is one of the palaces of the archbishops. What is inside there, it's now the city administration is inside. The mayor, the city mayor has his office also. And what is important is a beautiful hall, a beautifully decorated hall. The hall is called Marble Hall, and this Marble Hall serves as the wedding hall of the city. And there are couples, so it makes sense, there are couples not only from Austria, really from all parts of the world coming to get married in this beautiful wedding hall on the first floor of the Palace Mirabell. On Saturdays, but also during the other days of the week, the weddings take place, and after that the wedding parties take pictures in the gardens and so on, as you can see it at the moment. And now this strange place where we are now at the moment, it used to be a bastion for defending the city. Down there is the river Salzach. Later we will cross the river Salzach, and the river Salzach was at the beginning much broader, much larger, and it touched this bastion here. It was used for putting up cannons for defending the city, and later on it became narrower, the river Salzach. And this bastion here, you can see some dwarfs. It's called the Dwarfs Garden actually. The dwarfs were made 300 years ago, and they were made to entertain the guests of the archbishops. And some of them show characteristics or professions and occupations of the normal people at that time, but in a funny way, of course. Now, if you want, we can go on a little bit, and you can see them. And after that, we continue through the gardens. We're still here in the new town of the city. The old town is on the other side of the river. Okay, maybe we can make around and you can see the wall.
I already saw just before. I did stop here to have lunch before, so
entertaining the guests of the archbishops and the visitors of the archbishops. This is an open air theater. Sometimes performances still take place here. Yeah. Music film. Also, this ivy-covered avenue was in the film. Maria and the children were running through here, singing Do Re Mi. That was filmed here. Yeah. And now we go to the fountain. Of course, if possible, I always try to find places in the shade, but sometimes it's not possible. Thank you. Now here in the middle you can see the fountain. Within 1 year one can see about 100,000 flowers. They plant the flowers 3 times a year. This is a typical garden in French Baroque style. The fountain is surrounded by 4 groups of statues, and they show the 4 elements, the natural elements, true personalities of the Greek history and Greek mythology: air, earth, water and fire. If you look here on your right hand side, this is Hercules. You know, Hercules was very strong. He's lifting up a giant into the air to strangle him. It symbolizes the air. Here Pluto. Pluto was the god of the underground. You can see he's wearing a crown. He's taking Proserpine inside the earth, that means into his kingdom for the earth. Then over there Paris is abducting Helen across the water. That was the beginning of the Trojan War in Greek history. That's for the water. And at the end of the Trojan War, Aeneas brings out his father and his son from burning Troy. His father on his shoulders, his little son next to him. So very often in that period, in the 17th century Baroque period, they used the 4 elements. They depicted the 4 elements, the 4 seasons, the 4 characters. 4 was a symbol of the harmony of nature already in the antique times. Now behind the statue of the fire you can see a new building. This time it's a new building. It's University Mozarteum. It's a music academy that got the status of a university in 1998, and it has really a good reputation. There are students from all over the world coming to study music here. We have many students from Asian countries like China, Taiwan, Singapore. Many of them are studying here. This is the new building. The old building is on the other side of which just passed it, which just came down here. That is the old building of the Mozarteum Music Academy. Now we are leaving the garden, and when we get out there, have a look to your right hand side. You will see the Marionette Theatre. Marionette Theatre means takes place in operas are performed by marionettes. And surprise, surprise, what are they playing at the moment? The Sound of Music. There's a poster there. That is very often, like it's a standard, like the Magic Flute, the Sound of Music. They play it very often in the Marionette Theatre. Okay, would you like to go in the shade or over there? It's okay, doesn't matter. Okay, then let's go here, because then you can see the fortress in the background.
with the umbrella.
Yeah. Umbrella isn't very necessary. You will see it will be very crowded in the city.
Yeah,
very
I know,
crowded, so we have to stay together.
Yeah. This garden is really nice. It's really colorful.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
This is my first experience as a tourist with a guide.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, first experience.
Really? There are so many in Italy. So many
I know.
groups. Yeah. Wow.
After or before I'm going to do it in Italy too. Yeah, because there is a lot of things that without.
Is on the other side of the river that I will show you later. So we're still here in the new town of the city, but there are already here some old interesting buildings around us. First of all, behind the tree you can see a part of the Holy Trinity Church. That was the first church planned by the famous Baroque style architect Fischer von Erlach. The masterwork of Fischer von Erlach is in Vienna, the Church of St. Charles. Then here on the left hand side you can see Hotel Bristol. I only mentioned that because at the beginning it had a different name. It was called Hotel Electricity, because it was the first hotel in Salzburg with electric light in it, and they were very proud of that, of the electricity at that time. And now, right in front of you, you can already see one of the two Mozart houses that we have. Mozart, the composer, he was born in the main street, Getreidegasse, the birth house, I will show you later. This is the second Mozart house that we have. It's called Mozart's residence. When Mozart became 17 years old, the family moved into this house because the space, the apartment in the other one, became too small for the family. They had 3 rooms over there, and then they rented 8 rooms. That's a huge apartment, 8-room apartment. The whole first floor was occupied by the Mozart family at that time. If you're interested, the 2 houses can be visited, Mozart's birth house, as well as this one here. There are 2 of them are museums now. What is not so much known is that the Mozart family also was a very friendly, sociable family. On the weekends they liked to invite neighbors and guests and friends. They played music together, 9 pins, a kind of bowling. They played in the garden behind the house, and they had a special hobby. They liked to shoot with air guns on self-made targets on the weekends, not only in the garden, even in the apartment on the weekends. And some of the targets are still there. They're still kept in the museum. They can be seen. Mozart composed many works here. Concertos for violin, concertos for piano, the first operas like Idomeneo, he composed here. Later I will tell you more when we are at Mozart's birth house. Now, before we go around the theater, have a look behind the green bus. You can see an inscription on the wall. It says Christian Doppler was born here. Doppler was a mathematician and physicist. The Doppler effect is named after him, like the ultrasound facility is based on the Doppler effect. Now we go around, then we cross the next street, and then we are already in some minutes at the river. The name of the river is Salzach, Salzach River.
Salzach.
This is now the panorama of the old town in front of you. From here you can see 2 hills. Actually there are 3 city hills. 2 of them you can see in front of you. This hill is called Mönchsberg or Monk's Hill. There's a museum of modern art on the top of it that can be reached by an elevator inside the mountain that goes directly into the museum. The other hill is the Fortress Hill. The 2 hills are connected. That cannot be seen from here, but it's very nice if one has the time and likes to walk. It's possible to go up there on some. There are different possibilities, and then on foot over the 2 hills to the fortress even. And here is the river Salzach. The river Salzach comes from the Kitzbühel Alps. It's 220 kilometers long, flows into the river Inn. And in the past this river was very important for the transport of goods and materials, especially for the transport of salt. And you can see it already from here in the south of the city, in the mountains. The salt was exploited in the salt mines and then transported on the rivers. The salt production has always been the most important income for the princes, for the prince archbishops. That was made them rich and wealthy, the salt production. This was the main income for the archbishops. Still there are some salt mines. Maybe you may have also visited, some of you already. Yeah, there are various like Hallein, Berchtesgaden. The oldest salt mine in the world, which is still producing salt, is also in our region. It's the one in Hallstatt. Hallstatt, they started 5000 before Christ, the salt production already there. Now we are leaving this place. Before we are leaving, have a look behind you. This is the house where Herbert von Karajan grew up. Herbert von Karajan was a conductor, just a contemporary of Leonard Bernstein. He conducted the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra especially, and he was very important for the Salzburg Music Festival. And you can see a statue even in the garden, Karajan conductor. And he founded the Salzburg Easter Festivals in 1967. Then this building here is Hotel Sacher, the second Hotel Sacher in Austria. The first one is in Vienna. And famous is the speciality of the hotel. It's a chocolate cake. Sachertorte that has a
Yeah.
slice of apricot marmalade in it. And they sell it also, the originals, in a shop at the corner of the hotel. Now, I would suggest we take this way here, we take the next bridge and then we get closer to the main street, the medieval main street, Getreidegasse. And here, please take care of the bicycles. Maybe we keep more on the left side.
Exactly the street that I took just before to come to you.
Yes? Oh, really?